Commander Aaron Hayes had seen many strange things during his years of space service, but nothing prepared him for what he found on the planet Virelanine. The planet floated like a blue pearl in the void, its surface glowing with silver clouds and rivers that shimmered under twin suns. His ship landed on a wide platform made of crystal, surrounded by tall white towers that looked alive, as if they were breathing. As Aaron stepped out, he felt the warm air brush his skin. It smelled like rain and flowers mixed together. He adjusted his uniform and walked forward, trying to look calm, though his heart was racing. He had been sent by the United Earth's Command to make contact with the Virelanza, mysterious alien race known only from distant communication. Humanity hoped for a trade alliance, or maybe even friendship. But as soon as he saw who was waiting for him, Aaron knew this mission would be nothing like what he expected. Standing before him were alien women, tall, elegant, and almost human in appearance, yet too perfect to be real. Their skin carried a faint shimmer, like moonlight, reflecting on calm water. Their eyes were bright and deep, holding both wisdom and sadness. Each one moved with a kind of grace that made the air itself seem slower. And in the center of them stood their Queen Saralin. She was unlike anyone he had ever met. Her long silver hair fell like liquid light, and her gaze was calm but strong. She wore no crown, only a symbol of light across her chest, a glowing circle that pulsed softly. When she spoke, her voice carried through the hall like music. "Welcome, Commander Hayes of Earth. You have traveled far." Aaron bowed slightly, unsure how to respond to a being who looked both human and celestial. "It's an honor, Your Majesty. I'm here to discuss our diplomatic agreements." The Queen nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. "Yes, but before we speak of trade or treaties, there is something else you must know. Something that concerns the future of my people." Aaron glanced around the hall. It was filled with silent figures watching him. He could feel their eyes following his every move, not with hostility, but with hope. "Of course," he said cautiously. "Please go on." The Queen motioned for him to follow. Together, they walked through long corridors made of translucent crystal, glowing faintly under their steps. Strange patterns flowed across the walls, responding to Cyrilin's presence as if recognizing her. Finally, they reached a vast chamber filled with holographic stars and floating symbols. Scientists or maybe priests stood nearby, adjusting light panels and murmuring softly. In the center of the room was a giant sphere of light showing DNA strands spinning in slow motion. "This," Saralin said softly, "is the heart of our problem." Aaron stared at the glowing strands. "Genetic structures?" he asked. She nodded. "For thousands of years, my people have survived through controlled cloning. It allowed us to live long, to avoid illness, to preserve beauty and knowledge. But every generation took a little more from us. Our essence, our spirit, has faded. Our children are born weaker, their lifespans shorter. The cycle cannot continue." Her words carried no fear, only exhaustion. Aaron folded his arms. "I see. So you're looking for a cure. Why contact humans?" The Queen turned to face him. Her eyes glowed faintly, like the reflection of a dying star. "Because your kind is different. You create, you feel, you adapt. You are not perfect, yet your imperfection holds the key to life itself." Aaron frowned. "You mean our DNA?" "Yes." Her voice was calm, but something in it trembled slightly. "We have studied many species across the galaxies. None carried the same emotional and biological energy as yours. We need your genetic essence to restore what we lost." Aaron took a slow breath. The request was heavy enough, but then Saralin added the part that truly stunned him, however. She continued, "Our faith forbids artificial creation. We cannot take what gives life through mechanical means. Our ancestors believed life must be shared, not extracted. It must come from trust, from natural connection." Aaron blinked, unsure if he heard her right. "You mean, you want a human too?" "To offer it willingly," she said before he could finish. "Not as a specimen. As a partner." Silence filled the chamber. The scientist stopped whispering. Even the air felt still. Aaron looked at Saralin, searching her face for any hint of mockery. She was completely serious. He cleared his throat, trying to find words. "That's a very unexpected request, Your Majesty." She nodded slightly. "I understand. To your kind, it may sound strange, but to us, it is sacred. Only through unity of spirit can new life begin. Without it, any cure we make will be hollow." Aaron rubbed the back of his neck. He'd been briefed for war, for diplomacy, for alien customs, but nothing like this. "Before I even think about agreeing, I need to understand everything. I want to study your situation, your history, your beliefs. This isn't something anyone can decide in a day." Sir Lin's expression softened. "You are wise, Commander. You speak like one who carries not just orders, but heart." Aaron nodded once. "If I'm going to help, I need to know what I'm helping." The Queen smiled faintly, a small, tired smile that seemed older than she looked. "Then come. I will show you what is left of our world." They spent the day traveling, through the shining cities and fading gardens of Virelanine. Aaron saw how the planet itself mirrored its people, but weakening. Flowers that once glowed with soft colors now dimmed to gray. Rivers that once sang with energy now ran slow and quiet. The Virelans still smiled, still worked, still hoped, but their steps carried a shadow of despair that evening. The Queen invited Aaron to a high terrace overlooking the city. The twin moons rose side by side, one silver and one blue. Below them, millions of lights shimmered across the valley like fallen stars. "This is what we may lose," she said quietly. "We have preserved our art, our knowledge, our beauty, but not our heart." Aaron turned to her. "You think humanity can restore that?" "I believe humanity still remembers what we forgot," she said. "The meaning of connection. The power of emotion. The courage to live with imperfection." For the first time, Aaron saw a flicker of emotion in her, something fragile, like loneliness hidden behind duty. He felt an unexpected sympathy rise in him. "Maybe," he said softly, "you just need to believe that not all things need control. Sometimes life grows wild for a reason." Sir Alan looked at him with quiet curiosity. "You speak as if you have known loss." Aaron smiled faintly. "Every soldier has. But we move forward anyway." The Queen stepped closer, her gaze steady. "Then perhaps that is what we must learn from you." They stood there in silence as the night deepened. The stars of Virela spread across the sky like an ocean of fireflies. Aaron could feel the weight of the moment, the merging of two distant worlds, two ways of life. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. He didn't know if he could agree to what she asked, but something inside him told him that fate had brought him here for a reason. When he finally returned to his quarters, he found the chamber quiet and dimly lit. He sat by the window, looking out at the glowing horizon. For the first time in a long while, felt something he couldn't name, something between wonder and unease. Then, just as he began to drift into thought, a soft chime echoed through the air. The door opened silently. Queen Saralan stood there, her silver hair falling around her shoulders. Her expression calm but curious. "I hope I am not disturbing you," she said gently. Aaron stood, startled but composed. "Not at all, Your Majesty. I just didn't expect visitors this late." She stepped closer, her presence serene yet magnetic. "I wish to understand more about humans. We study your science, your art, but we do not understand your heart." Aaron met her gaze, feeling the air grow still again. "Sometimes," he said softly, "we don't understand it either." Sir Alan smiled faintly. "Then perhaps we will learn together." The moonlight washed over them, casting long shadows across the floor. For a moment, neither spoke. Two beings from different worlds, separated by everything yet drawn by the same silent question, what truly gives life meaning? And as the night stretched on, somewhere deep inside Virelani, the faint hum of the planet changed, almost as if it could feel that something new had begun. The next morning, the soft light of Virela's twin suns poured through Aaron's quarters. He hadn't slept much. His mind kept replaying everything the Queen had told him, their fading bloodlines, their strange belief that life could not be copied in a lab, and her quiet plea for help, He stepped out onto the balcony, looking down at the city below. The streets shimmered with pale light. Groups of virulins moved gracefully, speaking in soft tones. Everything looked peaceful. But now Aaron saw the truth behind it. Their beauty hid the fear of extinction. When he turned, he found Sorellen already waiting outside his door. She wasn't wearing her royal robe today. Only a simple white garment that made her look less like a ruler and more like a person. "You rise early," she said with a small smile. "I couldn't sleep," Aaron replied. "Too many thoughts." "Then come," she said. "You wish to understand my world. Today, I will show you what we have lost." They walked through a long glass bridge that overlooked endless gardens. The plants were unlike anything from Earth, tall, glowing vines and flowers that floated slightly above the soil. Yet, as Aaron looked closer, he saw how many were fading, their color turning pale gray. "These gardens used to sing," Sorellen said softly. "Our ancestors believed every living thing had a sound. The flowers once responded to the emotion of those who cared for them, but now they are silent. They feel nothing." Aaron crouched near one of the dying vines. "On Earth," he said, "plants react to music, to care, even to the touch of a hand. Maybe they're waiting for someone to feel again." Sorellen looked at him with quiet wonder. "You speak as if emotions are energy." "They are," he said. "At least to us." They continued walking. Everywhere they went, the same signs appeared: beauty without life. Buildings were flawless, but cold. The air carried no warmth of laughter or song. It was a perfect world, slowly losing its soul. At the center of the city stood the Hall of Memories, where the Queen kept the oldest records of her people. Inside, holographic figures shimmered around them, images of past generations, their eyes full of spirit and passion. "This is who we were," Sorellen said. "Before the cloning, before we began to fear imperfection." Aaron watched the glowing figures dance and smile. "You lost something human," he said quietly. She nodded. "And now you see why we need you." He turned toward her. "Sorellen, your people are advanced. You could rebuild your genetics through science. Why hold on to ancient rules?" Her expression softened, but her voice was steady. "Because rules remind us who we are. We were created by life itself, not machines. If we break that law, we risk losing the last piece of our spirit." Aaron sighed, understanding her struggle, but also feeling the weight of what she was asking. Still, asking someone to give life your way, it's not simple. "I know," she whispered. "That is why I asked you, not commanded you." Before Aaron could respond, a loud alarm echoed through the hall. The air shimmered with red light. Guards rushed in, their silver armor reflecting the glow. Sorellen's face changed instantly from calm to sharp focus. "What's happening?" Aaron asked. The nearest guard bowed quickly. "Your Majesty, an explosion near the genetic core. Unknown intruders." Sorellen's eyes hardened. "Get the civilians to safety. Seal the upper levels." Aaron's instincts took over. "I'm coming with you." The Queen looked at him. "It's dangerous," gave a brief smile. "You asked for humanity. This is part of it." Together they ran through the corridors toward the lower facility. The sound of energy blasts echoed in the distance. When they reached the core, Aaron saw smoke rising from a shattered wall. Inside, strange figures in dark armor were tearing through data crystals, collecting samples and devices. "They're Trask Raiders," one guard shouted. "They want our research." Without thinking, Aaron grabbed a fallen weapon from the floor. It wasn't human-made, but close enough. He moved with military precision, firing at the raiders' feet to drive them back. The Queen's guards joined him. The room flashed with light and noise, though no one died. Aaron used cover and strategy to push the attackers out. Finally, the remaining invaders fled through a broken window into the sky. When the silence returned, Aaron lowered the weapon, breathing hard. Sorellen stood at his side, watching him with wide eyes. "You fought without hate," she said. "You defended, but you did not destroy." "That's the difference between saving and winning," he replied. Wiping dust from his hands, the Queen looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. "You risked your life for people, not your own." "I'm a soldier." he said. That's what we do. She shook her head gently. No, that's what humans do. Later that night, the queen invited him to the healing gardens, a quiet sanctuary where light floated like mist between trees. The city had calmed, but the mood was heavy. The attack had reminded everyone how fragile they were. Sorellen walked beside Aaron in silence for a long time before finally speaking. You are right, Commander. We may be beautiful, but we are not strong. We have become afraid of pain, afraid of mistakes. We built perfection and forgot to live. Aaron looked at her. Every world makes mistakes. The question is whether you learn from them. She stopped by a small pond that reflected the twin moons. You said earlier that emotions are energy. Maybe your DNA carries that energy. Maybe that's what we need. Aaron hesitated. Even if that's true, it's not just a scientific exchange. It's personal. Lynn turned to him. I understand. Our belief says life must be shared with intention and trust. It cannot be forced. But after today, I see that your heart carries what our science cannot. He looked away toward the glowing trees. I'm not sure I'm the right person for this. You are, she said softly, because you question it. That's how I know your choice will be real. For a while, neither spoke. The wind carried a soft hum through the air, almost like the garden was waking up again. Then Sorellen said quietly, I must tell the council tomorrow about what happened. They will not like what they hear. They already fear humans. Aaron frowned. They fear me? They fear what you represent. Change. If they believe I have grown too close to you, they may try to stop the renewal project. Aaron studied her face. And what will you tell them? The truth, she said simply. That humanity carries what we lost the courage to feel. The next day, the council chamber was filled with voices. 12 elder virulants sat around a ring of light, their robes flowing like liquid silver. The queen stood in the center, calm but firm. Aaron waited behind her, unsure if he should speak. One elder rose. You risked our future by bringing an outsider into our sacred halls. Why trust a species known for chaos and conflict? Sorellen's tone was measured, because their chaos is born from passion. Their conflicts create growth. We have lived too long in silence. Another elder leaned forward. And you would merge our essence with his kind. You would mix impurity with perfection? The queen turned slowly toward them. Perfection is not life. It is death without movement. We have forgotten how to change. Humanity will remind us. Aaron could see the tension rising. He stepped forward before they could argue further. Excuse me, he said quietly, but his voice carried. I'm not here to rule or change you. I came to understand, but I've seen enough to know that life isn't about being perfect. It's about surviving together. The chamber fell silent. Even the light dimmed slightly. The queen looked back at him with gratitude. An elder finally sighed. If this experiment fails, our kind may disappear. Sorellen nodded. Then let us fail trying to live, not waiting to die. Ow! The council murmured among themselves. Finally, the eldest among them raised a hand. You may proceed, my queen, but if this human betrays us, the blame will be yours alone. Sorellen bowed slightly. I accept that. When they left the chamber, Aaron felt the pressure lift from his chest. That went better than I expected, he said. Sorellen smiled faintly. You don't know our elders? That was a miracle. They both laughed softly, the sound echoing through the crystal halls. Later that night, as they walked along the quiet balcony overlooking the glowing city, Sorellen stopped and turned to him. Tomorrow begins the renewal. It will not be a process of machines or medicine. It will be a ceremony of unity. Aaron nodded slowly. What do I need to do? Only be yourself, she said gently. Your essence, your compassion, your courage, those are what we seek. The ritual is symbolic, not physical. It is about sharing what makes us human and what makes us virulent. He looked at her in silence for a moment, then smiled faintly. Then maybe we both learn something new tomorrow. Sorellen's eyes softened. Perhaps we already have. The wind carried the scent of the gardens again. Somewhere below, the flowers began to glow brighter, as if the planet itself was listening. And as the night deepened, Aaron realized something the more he understood them. The more he saw a reflection of humanity itself, a species desperate not just to live, but to feel alive. The morning of the renewal began with silence. The twin suns of Viralani rose slowly over the horizon, painting the crystal towers in shades of gold and silver. Every citizen felt the change in the air. It wasn't fear, it was hope mixed with uncertainty. Commander Aaron Hayes stood near a wide balcony in the Queen's palace, looking at the great city below. Crowds were gathering in the main square, glowing ribbons of light circling around them like floating petals. For the first time since his arrival, Aaron saw something new in their faces' anticipation. Queen Sorellen entered quietly. She wore a long robe, woven with threads that shimmered like water. A small symbol glowed near her heart, the same symbol that had appeared in the DNA chamber. Her steps were calm, but her eyes carried the weight of everything her people hoped for. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. Aaron smiled a little. "Not really, but I guess that's part of being human." Her lips curved slightly. "Then you are perfect for this." They walked together toward the Hall of Unity, a vast dome made of transparent crystal. Inside, hundreds of Viralans stood in silence. Around them, glowing roots extended from the floor and walls, connecting to the living energy of the planet. The hall pulsed like a heartbeat. Sorellen led Aaron to the center. There stood a round platform made of light, surrounded by the council. The elders watched him carefully, their faces unreadable. Aaron could feel their judgment, but he also felt Sorellen's calm presence beside him. The eldest counselor spoke. "Today, we restore the bond between what is living and what is fading. The human will stand beside our queen. Their energies will merge. Their choices will define the next generation of our kind." Aaron took a deep breath. He wasn't sure what energy merge meant, but he trusted Sorellen. The queen turned toward him. "This is not about science or flesh," she said softly so only he could hear. "It is about what lives inside the courage to give, the trust to share, the will to change." He nodded slowly. "Then let's give them something real." As they stepped onto the platform, a circle of light rose around them. The roots in the floor glowed brighter, responding to their presence. A low hum filled the hall. Aaron felt warmth spreading through his chest, like a heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of the planet. Sorellen closed her eyes, raising her hand. "Varela, remember us?" she whispered. "Remember who we were before fear? Remember what it means to feel." As the air shimmered, light moved like a living wave between them. Aaron could see flashes of images, memories of Varela's past. Children laughing, artists painting in glowing air, cities alive with song. Then the images changed, silence, machines, endless cloning chambers. He felt the emptiness that haunted them. Without thinking, he reached out his hand. Sorellen hesitated for a second, then placed hers in his. The contact was warm, gentle, and full of emotion. The platform responded instantly. The light flared, bright and golden. Around them, the council gasped. The energy that rose wasn't mechanical, it was alive. It carried laughter, courage, and something that no machine could reproduce. Heart. Aaron felt his chest tighten. He wasn't losing energy. He was sharing it. It was as if the planet itself was breathing through him, taking in his memories, his childhood on Earth, the sound of rain, the laughter of his friends, the pain of loss, and the strength to keep going. Sorellen's voice trembled as she whispered, "I feel it. Your memories, they're alive. They move." He smiled faintly. "That's humanity. We break, we rebuild, and we keep trying." Light wrapped around them like wind. The walls of the hall turned transparent, showing the entire planet. From the highest peaks to the deepest rivers, the glow spread. The dying gardens came alive with color. Flowers began to hum again. Rivers sparkled with energy. The twin moons reflected brighter in the sky. The Viralans watched in silence as life returned before their eyes. Children gasped. Elders wept. And the city that had stood still for centuries began to breathe again. Finally, the light faded, leaving only the soft hum of the living world. Aaron stood still, his heart beating fast. Sorellen looked at him with tears shining in her eyes, not of sadness, but of wonder. "It worked," she whispered. "The renewal is real." Aaron looked around at the crowd. For the first time, the Virulens were smiling not out of duty, but out of true joy. The eldest counselor rose. The prophecy spoke true. Life has returned. But not everyone was at peace. A group of elders murmured in concern. "This changes everything," one said. "If humanity carries this power, what stops them from controlling us?" Aaron heard the whisper but didn't react. He turned to Sorellen instead. "You said this was about trust. I think they still need to learn that part." She nodded. "And they will. Trust begins with one person, not a council." As the ceremony ended, Sorellen led him out to the terrace. The air outside was cool and filled with new sounds, the chirping of tiny winged creatures returning after years of silence. The scent of blooming flowers filled the breeze. She looked at the horizon for a long moment before speaking. "We will begin rebuilding now. Our scientists will preserve what we learned today, but we must protect the meaning behind it. The renewal must not become another machine." Aaron smiled slightly. "You mean it has to stay human?" "Yes," she said softly. "Even if it comes from another world." They stood side by side, watching the light spread across the city. A few days later, the council held another gathering. This time, the hall was filled with both humans and Virulens who wanted to witness the beginning of a new alliance. Trade agreements, research partnerships, and cultural exchanges were being discussed, but beneath all the official talk, there was a quiet respect when it was Aaron's turn to speak. He stood in the center and looked around at them. "When I first came here," he began, "I thought I was here for diplomacy, but I learned something deeper. You didn't need our power, you needed our humanity. You needed to remember that life is not perfect. It's messy. It's emotional. But it's real. And that's what makes it worth saving." His words echoed through the hall. The Queen's expression softened with pride. Later, when the ceremony ended, Aaron walked through the gardens once more. The flowers glowed softly now, reacting to his presence like they were greeting him. Children played nearby, their laughter light and innocent. Sorellen approached quietly, her hands clasped before her. "They already call you the human who gave us back our heart," she said with a gentle smile. Aaron chuckled. "That's too much credit. You were the one who believed." She shook her head. "Belief is easy. Action is rare. You showed us both." For a moment, they stood in silence, surrounded by the soft sounds of life returning. The Queen's eyes held gratitude, but also something deeper understanding. "What will you do now?" she asked. Aaron looked toward the sky where his ship rested on a distant platform. "Earth needs to know what happened here. Not just the science, but the story. Maybe we can learn from each other." Sorellen nodded slowly. "Then you will always have a home here. Virella will remember your name, not as a soldier or a savior, but as a bridge." He smiled gently. "That's all I ever wanted to be." As the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows over the gardens, Aaron turned to leave. The Queen watched him walk down the glowing path, her heart full but calm. The renewal had saved her people, but it had also awakened something within her, a connection that went beyond species or planets. When he reached the edge of the terrace, Aaron paused and looked back. Sorellen stood beneath the archway, her hair glowing in the evening light. He raised his hand in a quiet salute. She returned the gesture with a small, peaceful smile. The air around them shimmered softly, and for a brief moment the world seemed to hold its breath. Two lives from different stars, united not by science or command, but by something greater — understanding. Aaron stepped onto his shuttle. As it rose into the sky, he looked down at the shining world below. The rivers now glowed like veins of light, and the once silent flowers waved gently in the wind. Virella was alive again. He whispered to himself, "Life shared is life reborn." And far below, in the Queen's garden, Sorellen stood beneath the moons, her voice carried by the wind. "Thank you, human," she said softly, "for teaching us how to feel again." The stars shimmered brighter that night, as if even the universe approved. And across the distance between Earth and Varela, a bond remained a living reminder that even in the farthest corners of the galaxy, humanity's light could still spark new life.